Good evening and welcome to Space Oddities. Thank you very much for joining us on this happy Halloween. If you're watching us today, you're obviously not out dressed up in costumes and whatever, so thank you for being here instead. I've just walked back through my local village and you couldn't move for people dressed up. And it looks like everybody's having a lot of fun. So thank you for being here. And we have a packed program tonight. And tonight we are delighted to welcome to Space Oddities Mr. Brian Jones, who is going to be telling you about the 2023 yearbook of astronomy. Brian's an old friend of ours from Astro Radio days, so it's great to have you back, Brian. Are you okay?
I think so. Thank you.
Great. And we've got the rest of the panel. Lou is looking particularly resplendent as a pirate. A big improvement, I must say, Lou. I think you like that every week. Rachel, you're fantastic as well. We've got Roger, we've got Michael, and Steve. Good evening to you all. How are we all, panel?
Lovely,
all good.
thank you.
Daz appears
good, thank you.
some sort of a dragon head. So keep taking the tablets, Daz. We'll get back to it.
I'm a blind dinosaur. Do you think he saw us?
Oh, yeah. I'm afraid it doesn't get much better, folks. So anyway, thank you for being here. We are Space Oddities. We're here every Monday night at 8 p.m. UK time. And we bring you the latest and greatest in astronomical and space exploration news and other stuff as well. So we're delighted to have you. We've got news later of our ongoing competition, which closes this Saturday, to win a solar viewfinder and solar finder scope, and more of that later. And of course, we've got our regular features. And we are carrying on this week with the theme that we started last week, but didn't really have enough time to do it justice last week, that of the benefits of space exploration. So we'll be doing a bit more on that this week because it's such a big subject. We are going to split it over several weeks. So let's get right on with the show. And as tradition dictates, we move over to Roger with his spot about the night sky. So what's up, Roger?
Wow. Providing you got clear skies, we should be seeing what I'm about to present to you, plus a few other interesting items, as you will see. Right.
Oh, the suspense is killing me.
I know. You'll just have to wait a moment.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so for Halloween up to the 6th of November, we will be having... Dun, 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 we are first quarter today and heading over towards a full moon. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Boo. But with the forecast for the weather this week, we probably won't see much of it, so that's good. But last week we had an eclipse, or a partial solar eclipse. And as weather dictates, I had some cloud, but fortunately for me, I did manage to catch the majority of it. And here is part of the eclipse in sections which I've abridged rather than take the hour and 3/4 that it actually took in real time.
Oh, wow.
As you can see, it was only about 18 or 19% of obscurity, but at least it was visible from the majority of the time that it actually happened. So that was good.
Some nice sunspots there as well.
Yes, sunspots on both ends. So I could help line up the images. So that was a good thing.
Very good.
Right. I'm just going to quickly show you what today's sun actually looks like. From how I originally captured, this is the raw data that I had from today's capture. This is a compilation from 200 frames compiled together. And then I just brought the detail out to bring all the granulation out. And then I just tweak the color because the continuum filter is in the green part of the spectrum, and that was a 8mm filter which I bought from Altair Astro, and then I just adjusted it to give that effect, although the sun isn't actually that color.
No, but you got
we like to think of it as a nice sunny rosy yellowy color, but it's not quite at all.
Got some nice faculty there, Roger.
Yes, I know.
Said he.
I try not. As Dad says, is that a Latin swear word?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, he would, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so obviously, we being Halloween, we have
a witch.
A witch flying about. Whoa.
Is that a halo orbit? I can't tell.
Yeah.
Which one is that?
That's Capstone, isn't it?
That's now she's in a rectilinear orbit.
Anyway, back to some more proper talking. This week we've still got Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars up, but now we've got the clocks back. These are the times from 8 p.m. So as you would look out the window, providing there was a clear sky, this is where you would start to see the planets and the moon, which is setting down at the moment. And obviously now Saturn is starting to set in the southwest. Jupiter is up nice and high, so that's getting quite good. And Mars is now rising up quite nicely through Taurus. And of course, on December the 8th, we will have its opposition. So that will be something quite interesting to look at.
Indeed.
Should anyone be in the southern hemisphere watching, they will obviously have spectacular views of a upside down in relation to the northern hemisphere of Orion, and they also have the similar planets in the night sky still visible. So there we go, rotating round nicely.
Brilliant.
But we have an amended version of the Pillars of Creation, which were released the previous week. And we've got them in this form now, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, it's very Halloweeny, isn't it?
It is very
spooky.
Halloween.
Yes, and quite a close-up view of just the top part of that image.
Yeah, and as you said, that's the Miri images, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the mid-infrared image, as opposed to the near-infrared that we saw last week.
Yeah, built by the Europeans.
Yeah, absolutely. European, all the way.
And we've also got this image, which somebody has found out with the gravity lensing of one group of galaxies is repeated 3 times in this image, and they are shown as points 1, 2, and 3 on here. Obviously, somebody's gone through this with a very fine tooth comb to realize that this is the same group in different parts of the image.
It's amazing.
So that's so obviously, if it's just happened to that group, then there's obviously many other groups which are also repeated in this image. But this one is just the one that's been highlighted for this image. So
isn't the amount of separation between the 3 images amazing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and of course that's all due to the density of the dark matter in the cluster that's lensing it,
and how it's rotated round in position to the effects of the lensing.
That's right, yeah,
absolutely.
I wonder if they can tell if any of those have been delayed, because you can usually tell as well by the redshift if how long that they've taken to arrive. You can see in the redshift, because each one will be arriving at a different time. So yeah, interesting, very interesting.
Thank you, Roger.
That's all right, and that's what I have for this evening.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay.
Fantastic. That was very good. Thank you for that, Rod.
Thank you, Roger.
The reason I'm wearing a mask is Steve said he's still coughing. So
speaking of Steve, Steve's going to tell us a little more about the eclipse, aren't you, Steve?
Yes, indeed. If I can share screen, which I think I can here. Yeah, just a quick 2 or 3 minutes, actually, on the back of Roger's lovely presentation there. And I love that moving view of the stages of the partial eclipse. That was really lovely.
Yeah.
This is just, well, first of all, I looked through my solar scope at the partial eclipse, tried to attach a camera and take some photos without success. So instead, I just made a few notes about it, and then subsequently produced a sketch of the eclipse, which is effectively this.
That's great.
On white paper. So I'll just darken it down, because that's pretty much the sort of view that I actually got through the telescope.
That's
and I've just flipped it as well, just to correspond to Roger's view, because that's actually how it looked in the sky. So there's just 2 or 3 things to point out. I could see a couple of some small sunspots, which I think corresponded with Roger's image there.
Yes.
And the plages around them are roughly, one of them was sort of triangular that I could see. And then around also on the surface, there were a few filaments visible, which is when you're looking down on a prominence effectively. So I could see 4 of those.
Wow.
And then around the edge, there were around the limb of the sun, up there, top right, there were a few, I think they're called spicules, the little teeny little whisker prominences.
Yeah.
Around there was quite a large one hovering off the limb of the sun, and quite faint as well, almost, quite diffuse. 2 distinct prominences, almost forming an arch down the bottom, and a ski slope around there.
Oh, yeah.
A few other spicules. Actually, I must be conscious that you're probably seeing this a second or 2 after me. And some other small spicules up there. And there was this kind of hovering prominence off the limb that looked a bit like the flame you get above an oil refinery. But in fact, as the eclipse developed and the moon pulled off the limb of the surface of the sun, the view of the sun, that was actually being concealed in part by the moon itself.
All right.
So it was a larger prominence being revealed.
Yeah.
But also, what particularly fascinated me, I could see distinct features around the edge of the moon. These are slightly exaggerated in the sketch, just so they're evident. That looked to me like the edge of a crater rim. There was again a ski slope mountain there, a couple of distinct sort of pointy mountains, and a slightly more a little sort of molehill mound around the edge there, but very, very definitely discernible. But just to conclude, the thing that was really unusual and interesting, as the moon pulled off across the sun's disk. At one point, and I could only draw this diagram, but at one point, a distinct black hook shape appeared off the edge of the sun, and I saw it for 3 or 4 minutes, and it was quite extraordinary. And then it disappeared again, and about 5 minutes later, as the moon's retreated, it happened a second time, and this time, the second time, there was a third sunspot that was emerging from beyond the limb of the moon and accounting for it. But there was no discernible surface feature underneath that little black hook. So it was really quite interesting. There must be some explanation for it, and that's it.
Oh, well done, Steve. That was fantastic.
Can I just say, Steve, from what I can see with your pictures, the moon, the further north you were, the more of the sun the moon covered. And you can distinctly see that between your pictures and Roger's pictures.
That's a good point, indeed. Yeah. I think positionally, it was fairly accurate. Actually, I'm not sure the sunspots were in totally the exact position. Yeah, that's a good point.
I think the sunspot looked in more or less the same position.
Yeah, not far off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The sunspots. I was thinking of the moon covered more of the sun's disk.
Yeah, indeed.
It does cover. It's about 1.5 times more in the Scotland area than it is down in the Cornwall area.
Yeah.
So if you're very clever, you can use that to get the through parallax to get the distance to the moon, right?
Yes, that's right. Well,
because isn't the what Steve was talking about, the edge of the moon, isn't that what, when we have a total eclipse, isn't that what causes, I can't remember what they're called, the something beads?
Halley's beads. Yes.
That's right, yeah.
When the last rays of sunlight shaft up through the valleys between mountains on the moon's edge. Yeah, really quite spectacular.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for Steve. That was great.
Thank you.
And I have to say, I'm completely in awe of anybody who can draw like that. You know, because I can't at all. I can't even draw the curtains, for God's sake. So, you know, I'm just hopeless with drawing. So I know you and Rachel and others, and you know, fantastic sketches. So well done. Talking of eclipses, we have an upcoming lunar eclipse on November the 8th. Does anybody have any details on that?
No.
I know it'll be an early.
I'll probably have something in the WhatsApp in the night sky for next week, as it's in next week's program.
Ah, that's very true. That's very true. So we'll keep you informed on that next week.
Otherwise, it'll be a spoiler alert.
That's very true. That's very true. I have a rather sad story to tell about the last week's eclipse, and I'm kicking myself about this because when I looked it up on the internet, it said it was visible in Northern Europe, and I thought, oh well, I've got no chance of seeing it. But in fact, it was visible from here, where I live in Spain, in Catalonia. And I didn't actually bother to research any further than that because it said Northern Spain and Northern Europe. And I had some friends over from Ireland who were attending a wedding. And the first thing they said to me was, did you see the eclipse yesterday? We were sitting out here watching it. So I thought, oh,
very good.
So I kicked myself for that. Never mind, there'll always be another one. That's for certain.
A good website for eclipses is timeanddate.com.
Yes, I know that one. I should have gone there.
Yeah.
I should have gone there. Don't forget that we have a total eclipse of the sun visible from Spain in 2026 in August. And it's actually the path of totality is only about 3 hours from where I live on the train. So in the city of Valencia, it passes right through the city of Valencia. So I'll be going down there to view that. There's another total eclipse of the sun visible from Spain the following year in August 2027. And that just clips to the extreme southern tip of Spain, sort of Cadiz and Gibraltar. And that's about it. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I hope all the space oddities are going to come over for that in 2026 and join me for the total eclipse. That would be wonderful. Don't all rush at once.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah. Anyway, we are delighted to welcome to Space Oddities this evening Mr. Brian Jones, who is the creator and editor of the Yearbook of Astronomy. And he's here tonight to talk about the 2023 edition. So how are you doing, Brian?
Not so bad, thanks.
Good, good. Would you like to tell our viewers exactly what the yearbook is?
Well, okay, potted history. This will take about 4 minutes.
Okay, sorry, we got time. No hurry, no hurry.
Well, can we say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. The very first Yearbook of Astronomy appeared in late 1961. It was a 1962 edition. And the editor was a guy called John Guy Porter, whose birthday is coming up actually on the 5th of November. So watch out for the posting on Facebook.
Okay.
But anyway, the assistant editor for the first 3 years was Patrick Moore, but he took over in 65 and it became Patrick Moore's Yearbook of Astronomy right up until when he died in 2012.
Right.
And once Patrick died, I mean, the work he'd done on the 2013 and 2014 editions meant he was credited for the editorship of that as well, along with John Mason, who was doing probably the bulk of the work then, you see. Now, the thing is, from just looking at my shelf now, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, the 2012 edition, for some reason, was published by Macmillan in hardback. And consequently, it cost a little bit more. Now, this is leading somewhere, by the way.
Right, okay.
So, the 2012 edition was hardback, and the 2013, and the 2014, and 15, and 16. And the hardback books got bigger and bigger, and people running out of cathedral doors to use them as doorstops for. And consequently, the price was going up.
Right.
Including, importantly, the price of production, because it's obviously more costly to produce a hardback book than a paperback book.
Sure.
And up until then, up until 2011, it had been in paperback every year. Some of the early editions had hardback and paperback. That's when people had money to burn, you know, obviously. So the publishers, Macmillan, decided in their finite wisdom that the 2016 edition of the yearbook was going to be the very last one, and there were to be no more. And I personally didn't find out about that until towards the end of 2016, by which time the 2017 edition should have been in the shops.
Right.
And one or two people were asking questions on, you know, where's the yearbook this year? They're just general questions on various Facebook groups. So Richard Pearson and myself funded a special edition 2017 Yearbook of Astronomy.
Right.
To keep the run going.
Yeah.
You see, because there are lots of people out there who collect the Yearbook of Astronomy.
Yeah. I'm sure.
To many, it's a fetish. To most of them, it's just a collection, you know, stamps, whatever. But the thing is with the Yearbook of Astronomy, yeah, the sky notes go out of date. But the articles, they're all topical and contemporary and collected together over 60 years. They make fascinating reading.
Sure. Yeah.
So, as luck would have it, serendipity, whatever, call it what you will, the publishers Pen and Sword in Barnsley, which is just down the road from here, happened to have written to me around about this time, say, because they knew that I wrote books on astronomy, and they said, well, can you think of any astronomy titles that you'd like to come up with? Perhaps you can publish for us and we'll add them to our lists. So within 14 microseconds, I emailed them back, say, well, how about the Yearbook of Astronomy? And it took them another 14 microseconds to come back and say, yes, we'll take it on.
Right. So
the future of the Yearbook of Astronomy was, well, touch wood, secured. And since the 2018 edition, they couldn't bring out a 2017. It was too late from a marketing point of view. But they took it on from 2018 onwards. And the 2023 edition is the 6th edition that Pen and Sword Books have brought out. So it's a nice feeling that the Yearbook of Astronomy is edited and published in the West Riding of Yorkshire, which is absolutely brilliant.
Isn't it? Yeah. And I'm sure Patrick Moore would have been very happy to see it continue.
Well, indeed. And Patrick Moore was a fan of cricket.
Yeah.
And of course, Yorkshire is the what's the word I'm looking for? The
Valhalla.
Something like that of cricket. So, it ticked many boxes. Somebody's shaking their head. I guess you don't live in Yorkshire. There you go. Anyway, so we can't be cruel. So the 2023 edition was actually published in August. And that's it. And it's 350 odd pages. And it keeps the original yearbook format in general. Lots of full-sized articles, all the monthly sky notes, with a short article accompanying each of the monthly sky notes sections. So the book has got something like 25 astronomy articles in it. Comprehensive sky notes, eclipses, lunar phases, and so on, the lot. As well as comets that are coming in 2023, meteor showers, minor planets. Neil Norman does those 3 sections. And really, it's an absolute bumper bundle for anybody who likes a good book on astronomy. Yes, I'm biased, but, you know, I genuinely think that the book, hopefully, as editor, I'm hoping I'm carrying on the yearbook tradition to the best of my abilities.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are. Absolutely. Rachel says, if it ain't Yorkshire, it's not worth bloody shouting about.
What can I say? Absolutely true.
And Yorkshire, of course, is the home to some good telescope makers, of course, isn't it?
Of course, yeah.
Oh, God, hang on a minute.
Isn't it?
Thomas Cook.
Yeah, Cook, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, God, who was the other one?
Wasn't Clark, was it?
Was it Clark?
No.
Alvin Clark and family were in Massachusetts, I think.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Oh God, there is another one, actually. There is another one. Ramsden and his eyepiece. I think Ramsden was born near Halifax. I stand to be corrected. And
of course, our sponsors for our program, Rother Valley Optics, are in Yorkshire.
What can I say? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, big thank you to Rother Valley Optics, as always, for sponsoring this program. And Rother Valley Optics supply the prize for our monthly competition, which we'll talk about a bit later to remind you about it. So yes, Brian, can I ask you, how do you get the articles into the book? Do people get invited to write them, or do they submit them, or how does it work?
Well, for the 2017 edition, the one, I mean, it's only got about 130 pages.
Yeah.
About 130 pages. I had to grab some articles from anywhere.
Right.
So I'd had an article published in Astronomy magazine 2 or 3 years earlier, all about Kyle and his trip to South Africa. So I got permission from them to use that. There were 1 or 2 other articles in there, whatever. But actually, over the last 5 or 6 years, I've managed to, how can I put it, get a long list of writers of articles that I can call on at any time.
Great.
But it's, and touch wood, so successful has that been that I'm just finishing off the editorial work for the 2024 edition, which has just been typeset. That'll be coming out next year, and I'm about to start work on the 2025 edition, which I've just got 2 short articles to find, and that's fully articled, if that's the right expression.
Right.
I've got enough articles for the 2026 and 2027 editions.
Wow.
Blimey.
You've got to think ahead, you say.
Yeah.
And most of those articles will be great. 1 or 2 are flexible in that if something crops up, you know, that needs an article at short notice, I can always move them to future editions. One guy David Harland, lives in Glasgow, but born in Yorkshire, just up the road from here, bless him. So he's written an article, a full-size article for every edition of the yearbook right up to 2033.
Wow.
So they're all here on file already. His articles are more of a historical context. So in other words, they won't go out of date.
Yeah.
But I mean, people are keen to write for the yearbook. And it was good.
I'm sure they are.
Easier as editor, you know.
Yeah. So, Brian, obvious question, and Chris in the chat has asked is, where can one buy a copy? And I have to disappear for 20 seconds. Excuse me.
Oh, fair enough. Right. I mean, you can buy them on Amazon. You can buy them direct from the publishers. And
I've just found it on Amazon, and I'll put a link into the chat.
Brilliant. But I do have a bit of a scheme going here.
Right.
I give talks to local astronomical societies, York, Keighley, Bradford. Well, obviously I'm a member of Bradford, but when I go and I give a talk around about this time of year, I sell quite a few yearbooks at those meetings. The recently published yearbook at those meetings, and it's well supported by societies. But I was just got thinking that Macmillan ceased production of the yearbook in 2016, and I'm always wary that publishers, I mean, touch wood, there's been no whispering at all from Pen and Sword that this is going to happen. But I'm one of these people who just likes to hopefully think ahead a little bit and try and give Pen and Sword, or any publisher who I happen to be working for, as few a reason as possible to actually cease production of any particular book that I'm working on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The technical expression, what is it? Oh yeah, it's covering your ass. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, it's not my ass that I'm covering. It's the fact that the yearbook, in view of bearing in mind that it's a book that you can go to the Waterstones or wherever and pick it off the shelf, it's the longest running annual published book of its type on astronomy in the world.
Is it really?
Yes, I've never found one that's come out longer. And you can get the BA Journal and so on and things like that. Their society publications, they've been coming out a lot longer.
Right.
But the books that you can actually basically go to the high street and buy, I think Waterstones have copies. It is the longest running publication of its kind in the world.
Wow. That's something to be proud of, eh?
The thing is, that's why, because all the work that Patrick Moore put in over 50 years plus, that 2017 edition had to come out and a publisher had to be found for the yearbook. It just had to happen.
Yeah.
Because it's, as far as astronomy is concerned, the yearbook is well and truly a British institution. There's no other two ways of looking at it. That's a fact.
Right.
You know, it's an institution and it had to be saved.
The show must go on.
But what I'm trying to do is, in fact, a couple of societies have done this. I can get the Yearbook of Astronomy at a discount as editor. So what I'm doing is I'm saying to societies, look, if you ask your members how many would like a copy of the yearbook, I mean, the cover price is £18.99, so it's 19 quid. I can get them delivered to societies in a package, no delivery charge, and it will cost them £14 each, and they can sell them to raise funds for the society to members who want them for £15 each.
That's not
So
bad.
they're getting them at more or less the price that I can get them for.
Yeah.
As long as the orders for over, I think it's 4, so it's 4 or more, I could order, I don't know, let's just say Roger wanted some for his local society, or 5 members want them. I would get them delivered to Roger's address, I'd pay for them. And then when Roger receives them, and he knows he's going to get the money because he's taken the list of names, then Roger could send me the money via PayPal. So it's a way of getting the yearbook out to societies.
Well,
because,
there you are.
honestly, to be absolutely honest, touch wood, all the rest of it, once they've seen the yearbook, I think they'll be delighted with what's in it. You know, I'm proud of what it is, and I'm proud because all the writers make this possible. I mean, all I do is just get them all together and fanny about for 3 months, putting it into a book. But it's obvious when you read these. I mean, like Mary McIntyre's articles on women in astronomy, for example, or David Harlan's historical articles, or the recent Peter Rees article on the solar system exploration. They're written, you can tell, with a passion.
Yeah.
And it shows in the book. And people who've never been published before, I've managed to get them to write articles, mainly for the monthly Sky Notes, but whatever. And people who wanted to be in the yearbook for years, it's nice to be able to say to them, you can be in it. Send an article if it's any good, it's in. And it's just giving people a chance as well. So it's like a forum for those who would love to see their name in a book.
And Brian, if any societies want to take you up on that extremely kind offer, how would they get in touch with you?
Well, that's my email address.
Right, so stars@starlight-nights.co.uk. Just leave that up for a second longer, Brian.
I will do that until everybody says, yeah.
We will put that in the description of this video after it's been published. So stars@starlight-nights.co.uk, Starlight Nights being hyphenated. And that's a very kind offer. Thank you, Brian. Let's get that yearbook out to as many societies as possible.
That's great. If you could mention that it is available at a discount price to societies. Yeah. Contact me for details, and I'll just let people know.
Right.
And they don't pay for it until they actually receive the books.
And Rachel's just put that in the live chat, so it's there now for you. Viewers. Daz, you had a question, I think.
No, it's one question. I was just saying, I think Mike Astronaut regrets doing this now. Now he knows he can get a discount. Mike Astronaut Kimru says, thanks for the link. Got the order in already.
There you are.
Another sale. I'm filling up. This is brilliant.
There you are. There you are.
So thank you for that, Mike.
We're happy to do that for you, Brian.
You made a Yorkshireman happy.
Thank you very much for that order, because you're a happy man, very old, I'm sure, Brian.
I think Ray's got a question as well.
Go on.
Very nice to meet you, Brian. I'm wondering, what would you say is your target audience for this? Would it be the general science interested public, amateur astronomers, graduate students? You know, what?
To be absolutely honest, there is something in the yearbook for everybody. But the layperson will pick that book up and 90% of it will be totally understandable. There's very little in the way of technical stuff. And where that does occur, it's extremely well explained by the individual writers. To be absolutely honest, if somebody bought, I don't know, a 15-year-old who was into astronomy, that book, they would find it easygoing if they're interested in astronomy. And there's another thing as well. Does anybody, just harking back to the golden day, does anybody have in their collection any Dover paperbacks from the 60s and 70s?
No.
Yeah, Dover Publications, they published paperback books which were beautiful to hold. You could open them without breaking the spine. The print smelled beautifully. It was a floppy book, And the yearbook at the moment is like that. It's just one of those books that you can just, it's just good to hold, you know. But see, bear in mind, I'm one of these people who, when I was a school kid, and we went with my schoolmates, the W.H. Smiths, while they were looking at the magazines on the top shelf, I was smelling, I was smelling the printer's ink on the books on the normal shelf. I've always been fascinated. Yeah, there you go. You may laugh. Yes, you've been there. Yeah, there you go.
You mean the train magazines on the top shelf?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Is that a euphemism? No, I don't want to ask. But yes, it's. I've always been into smelling the print on books.
Yeah, nothing beats it.
Those boxes as well. Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely. Well, Brian, thank you very much for telling us all about the yearbook, and obviously we wish you the very best of luck with it.
Thank you.
Let's hope you get some more orders coming in as a result of this, and let's push it out to the societies, guys. As we said, Brian's contact email is in the live chat, and that's a very generous offer to give societies a discount if they buy more than 4. Was it?
Well, this is it. If I buy 4 or more, I get my discount.
Right. Okay.
It varies slightly, but not much. But essentially, practically all the discount I'm getting, I'm passing on to the society. As long as I don't lose out, I am a Yorkshireman, you know.
Yeah.
As I don't lose out and I get a penny out of it, I'm happy.
Brian, I'll send it out to the astronomical societies by the Federation of Astronomical Societies as well.
Oh, by the way, just hang on a sec. Just bear with me. Bear with me a second. Oh yeah, the Federation has got an advert on the back page.
Ah, there we are.
The reason this arose was that on the 2022 edition, I think it was, whatever. Once the book was typeset, there were some blank pages at the end. It happens. It's how many pages within the last signature are actually printed on. And it turned out there were 1 or 2 and they were just blank. So I thought, well, I don't want this to happen anymore. So once the book's typeset, I fill it with adverts, which people don't get charged for. Just advertising things that would be of interest to the readership. So the Federation are advertised, the Commission for Dark Skies, American Association for Variable Star Observers, Popular Astronomy, Royal Astronomical Society of New Zealand, the BEA, the Planetary Society, and the RAS in general, and the Society for the History of Astronomy. They've all got the articles in the back, and I let them have those free of charge because it complements the book, and people from those societies actually buy the book. So it's a Yorkshireman giving something away, for God's sake.
Yeah, I know.
And next year there'll be Space Oddities.
Yes.
The throat bit came out. No, seriously, it was optimum use of space, and it's a nice warm fuzzy feeling that you get. It's good.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, thank you very much for that, Brian. Brian, you're welcome to stick around for the rest of the show. Thank you very much for being our guest on Space Oddities this evening, Brian. Lovely to see you again.
10 minutes or so before I've got to disappear. So yeah,
you can hang around. Okay.
Got to walk the whippet. Got to walk the whippet.
All the very best. Moving on, Daz, would you like to remind our viewers about our monthly competition?
Not really.
Okay.
Right, screen sharing.
You miserable curmudgeon.
Yeah. I'm not Yorkshire.
As you may know, on Space Oddities, we do have a monthly competition with a prize, and Daz is now going to tell you all about the competition for October, which closes this coming Saturday.
Yeah,
take it away, Daz.
As we said, the prize, and again we thank Rother Valley Optics, is this solar finder scope. It uses a Centaur mount, which is the wedge at the bottom, which most modern telescopes have. All you do is you just replace your finder scope, optic finder scope, with this scope. And what happens is at the far end, you can't see it on this picture, unfortunately, there is a pinhole. And then what you do is you move your telescope around, an image of the sun will appear on the screen at the back where those crosshairs are, and you get it in the middle. And again, I must reiterate, never, ever point an optical instrument, that's a camera, that's binoculars, that's a telescope, anything, or even look at it with your naked eye at the sun, because you will damage your eyes. Always make sure before you start any solar observing, the first thing you do is you put your filters on the telescope. The last thing I always, when I do solar observation, the first thing on is the filter, and I don't even put the eyepiece in. It's the very last thing I put in before checking that I've got the solar film across the main telescope.
Yep.
So I just wanted to put that in there. But this saves basically to having to squint. I mean, some of the scopes you have to use the shadow, and you've got to get the minimum shadow to get so you're in the right place. But this takes all that guesswork away. You can see it on the back screen of the thing, and then you just use the eyepiece to align it. Now, what have you got to do to win this? There we go. Sorry, I've just got to get rid of
there we are.
Lots of people in the way. So what you have to do is what we are going to ask you to do, and this is for anybody, any age, is take a photo of a sunrise or a sunset with a mobile phone. The reason we've asked for a mobile phone is so that everybody can be included in this. Youngsters, young adults, older people like us. So, you know, everybody can take a photograph of a sunset or a sunrise. Or then send it to spaceodditieslive@gmail.com, entitling the email competition entry. Entry is limited to 1 image per person. The closing date is the end of Saturday, the 5th of November, so we can do the judging on the 6th, ready for the next show, which will be on the 7th. The photo which the panel like most will win. The competition is open to UK residents only, or if you have an address in the UK, so that we can send it to that the prize to that address if you're lucky enough to win. And the panel's decision is final. And just as an afterthought, because the Space Oddities Live gmail.com email address there is also for anything you want to put into the gallery you would like to see in the gallery. And I would just like to say that with all the images that we're getting, we may even think about making something like a calendar. Now, if your image is chosen, we will seek your permission to actually put it in the calendar. So maybe, and just keep an eye out, and maybe you'll see your image in a calendar, but you'll know about it beforehand because so again, I'll just quickly run through that. Take a photograph of a sunrise or a sunset with a mobile phone. Email your entry to spaceodditieslive@gmail.com. Entitling the email competition entry makes it easier to find. Entry is limited to 1 per person. The closing date is Saturday, the 5th of November. The photo which the panel likes most will win. The competition is open to UK residents only, or if you have a UK address, we can send the prize to. And the panel's decision is final. And I'd just like to take this opportunity again to thank our sponsors, Rother Valley Optics, for supplying us with such a superb gift. So I think that's everything. I haven't missed anything, have I?
No, I think that's it. Thank you for that, Daz. Good luck to everybody who enters the competition. And as always, we thank you for your competition entries and your interest, as we do for all of those who send entries to our Weekly's Viewers Gallery. Speaking of which, Rachel, I think that's Rachel under there somewhere. Rachel, what have we got in the gallery this week?
Okay, this week we've got not as big as last week, thank goodness.
Well, I say thank goodness. We were very grateful to have them, but it took a while to get through them.
So we've got a real mix this week. So I'm looking forward to this one. So we've got a lovely little wizard nebula to start off with. And when I saw this was taken in a Bortle 9, I was like, wow, that's the challenge. Wow. So from a Vegas backyard. And this was by Marty Barker. And here we go.
Wow, that's lovely.
Yeah, that is.
That's a real Hubble type palette as well, isn't it?
Yeah. And did I see the address was Vegas?
Yeah.
Oh, from across
Vegas
the ponds.
Bortle 9, so that's got to be a
that is fantastic. Then.
Thank you so much for that. That is amazing.
That is amazing.
Well done indeed.
Then we've got 2 lovely images from Sonia. So the first image we've got to show, she was really excited because she got her first plane photo bomb. She wasn't expecting it, but she got lucky. And then after that, she's done a collage of the partial solar eclipse. And she does this through her Dobsonian with her Google Pixel 6 smartphone.
Oh boy.
So that's a really lucky shot to get lucky with that one.
That was fantastic.
I think
Well done, Sonia.
I think that shot actually appeared on BBC Northwest News locally.
Yes, it did. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
And then
Well
she's
done,
done a
Sonia.
lovely collage of what she'd taken all together.
Isn't that lovely?
Wow.
Yeah, and if she can find out the what plane that was, she could actually send it to the pilot. I think he'll be chuffed to get
Yeah,
something
that would be
like
cool.
Yeah, that would be good.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we've got a gorgeous M31 by Lee.
Mm.
And he's,
Oh, Lee does it again.
he does. He likes to send little stories in. So he's took this one over 3 sessions while waiting for it to get higher. I wonder if anyone or anything from M31 is looking back at the Milky Way, imaging it and flooding their social media and friends with images. So yeah, so here is Lee's.
Oh,
That is-
Lee.
that is
Lovely.
Look
Well
at those
done,
dust
Lee.
lanes. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh,
Thank you,
incredible
Lee.
detail.
Thanks so much for that. That's wonderful.
We've got one from Kevin, our solar man. So he's taken a picture of the partial solar eclipse, also with some prominences as well. So he said it's amazing to think that there are 93 million miles between the prom and the moon's disk, slowly moving across it. More amazing is that we simultaneously saw the moon as it was 1 second and the sun 8 minutes before taking the image.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, didn't think of that.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah. And also,
is
it looks.
that what you had in your drawing, Steve?
Yeah.
I was just going to say that I'm virtually certain that's the little that I described as an oil refinery flame. But yeah, and
It
I
looks
think
like it, doesn't it?
it's pulled back a little. The moon's pulled back a little further, so that's
Yeah.
brilliant. Yeah,
Yeah. Well
That's
done.
fantastic.
Kevin.
what a great shot that is. Fabulous.
Thank you for that, Kevin. Lovely to have your images in again.
Then we've got one by Tim. He's done the Rosette Nebula. And he's using the Optolong LX Stream on this one, and it's about 5 hours integration time, stacked with AstroPixel processor, edit as a Hubble palette, and done in PixInsight.
Look at that.
Again,
That's nice.
amazing.
Look at the detail in that.
Yeah.
It is, and it's almost at this rotation. It looks like the skull, so it fits quite well for Halloween.
Mhm.
You can see like the
Oh,
2 eye
yeah.
sockets and then the
Absolutely.
nose in the
Yeah.
middle. So
Yeah.
there
Very
it is.
Halloween. Yeah.
Then we've got 2 by Chris Jones. He's done one on Mars. He says this is his first image of Mars where he's actually managed to get details showing through. And he's done this, or the details are on the screen. I won't read them all to you, but he's looking forward to watching it get brighter in the coming weeks.
That's nice.
That's getting there. Very good.
That's wonderful.
High praise from Roger.
Yes, yeah, indeed.
And then Chris has also sent in a picture of the partial eclipse as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. I love the clouds. Well done.
And then we've got one from Chris, who again we met at IAS, and he's joined us again for the second week. Thank you. So hi, Chris. And in the email, he did say he heard this was my favorite, and it is my favorite nebula. And he sent in his 7-hour integration on the Heart Nebula in a mono Hubble pillar, which is
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
So thank you, Chris.
The depth in that.
And he's also sent in another
Lovely.
image of the Eastern Veil.
Nice.
So he did this with a 1-shot color camera taken back in July.
Oh,
That is,
wow.
isn't it? That's
Ooh.
fantastic.
That's
That's good.
amazing.
Uh,
God, these
Which of
people are
the
so
sorry,
clever.
which of the Veil nebulas is also referred to as the Witch's broomstick? One of them.
The
is, isn't
Western
it?
Veil.
Oh, the
Western.
Western Veil.
Western,
okay.
yeah. Yeah.
And that is our gallery for this week.
Hey.
In fact, that Eastern Veil reminds me a bit of a tardigrade.
Yeah.
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 Yes,
I
I
can see
see
that.
it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Big thank you to everybody
thank
who
you.
sent in your images. Do keep them coming in. spaceodditieslive@gmail.com is our address. We do love seeing them, no matter what the equipment you take them on, no matter how rudimentary or complicated or cheap or expensive. We do love seeing your images, and you give us great pleasure because, you know, those of us who don't really do astrophotography are just constantly in awe of the skill that goes into what you do. And
Very
we
good.
do appreciate you sending them in. We love seeing them. So thank you for that. Okay, moving on. I think what I will do, as we're running a little short of time, I think I will delay my presentation about space benefits until next week, because I know that Lou is just dying to tell you a little more about Halloween, aren't you, Lou?
Well, I'm always dying to talk about Halloween. Let's see if we can pull something up here. There we go. Okay, well, happy Halloween, everyone. And as I tell my children and my students and pretty much anybody I ever talk to, there is always an astronomical answer to any question you can ask, and Halloween is no exception. Halloween, it turns out, is what we call a cross-quartal holiday. We have lots of holidays in different cultures, different parts of countries and continents that celebrate the position of the sun along the horizon. We have solstice holidays, such as Christmas, for example. We have equinox holidays, such as Easter, if you are Christian faith, and many others in variety of colors and flavors. But we also have the cross-quartal holidays, and those are the ones in between the solstices and the equinoxes. And for some cultures, they have marked actually the beginning of seasons. For us, it's the quartal holiday, solstice, equinox, mark the beginning of seasons. But for some cultures, the in-betweens mark the beginning of seasons. And so Halloween falls between roughly the midpoint between fall and winter. And it is a cross-quartal holiday and has its roots in an ancient holiday called not Samhain, as it's spelled, but Samhain. And this is a Celtic holiday that was essentially a harvest holiday. It's time to harvest and have food for the winter. You can kind of trace the origins of these things back thousands of years. In fact, we find that in Ireland, for example, in the Boyne Valley, we can find burial mounds that point to, or the entrances point to the rising sun on the first day of Samhain. Okay, so we know that it was celebrated. We know that it had meaning to ancient cultures. Now, another way that you know that Samhain is happening is that in ancient times, it would cross the meridian. In other words, the north-south line across the sky. If you could draw a line between south and north, it would cross that at midnight. And that's how you knew that Samhain had begun. Things have slipped a little since antiquity. We've moved from a Julian to a Gregorian calendar. We have daylight savings time or not. And so you can bring it up on your, let's see, this is the burial mound called Tara Samhain, or the mound of hostages that we were talking about. So if you talk about when Samhain is, you can time the passage of the Pleiades across the north-south meridian line. And it turns out that occurs right now about November 19th, because of all the changes in the way we keep time. But basically, that is how they figured it out. So that is Samhain, or Halloween, or All Saints' Day, if you wish. And happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween, Lou. Thank you very much. That was interesting. That was fascinating.
And speaking as somebody who was actually investigating burial mounds in the Boyne Valley last year, I've got to learn all about that and their significance. And it's an amazing area. It's just so full of burial mounds and artifacts and all sorts of things. So I had a fantastic time investigating those. And the only downside, we investigated one burial mound that was quite tall. I can't remember its name now, but 19th century archaeologists thought the best way to get to the center of it was to dynamite it. So they dynamited the top of the mound, and it all collapsed. So nobody really knows what's in it because it's buried under a lot of rock. But that was 19th century archaeology for you. Thankfully, we've moved on since then. Okay. just time for a little bit of space news. I think the only news I've got is that tomorrow at I think you said 1:30 p.m. Daz.
Someone around there, yeah.
Tomorrow afternoon, anyway, about 1:30 p.m. UK time. SpaceX will be launching the Falcon Heavy rocket for the first time in 3 years to put a secret military satellite into orbit. We're all looking forward to that because I'm sorry.
It's not a secret anymore.
No. But nobody knows what the satellite is or what
blurted it out all over social media.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can guarantee the TV coverage of it will be terminated very soon.
Before the fairings
the fairings come off. But it will be lovely to see the Falcon Heavy flying again. And SpaceX have also been doing further tests with their Super Heavy and Starship rockets. And they did the first cryo test of the full stacked rockets last week, which appears to have gone well. So they're slowly edging towards the launch of the biggest rocket ever built, the tallest rocket ever built, the most powerful rocket ever built, which may happen in November, but they've still got a few things to sort out. Apparently, after the cryo test, they had problems defueling the Starship. So there seems to have been a bit of a glitch after the cryo test, but anyway, I'm sure they'll sort it out. So that's the only bit I've got. Anybody else got any space news of notes this week?
I think Michael has, yeah.
I have one or two items. I wanted to mention the Mars quake that was picked up by the InSight.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, and also the crater that. What it was an impact crater from a meteorite that landed on Mars and caused a crater, quite a wide crater. If I just put share my screen slightly, just bear with me a sec.
There was a lovely image of it. I wonder if it's the one you've got.
Yeah, just bear with me.
Yeah, because I think they also did NASA. They did a sonification of the data.
There we are. There it is.
Yeah, so this is the image that was taken by the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, and as you can see, there's a scale there showing 150 meters. So quite a wide hole, if you like. But also, what was interesting with this was the fact that the impact threw out quite a lot of water ice onto the surface.
Yeah,
you can see with these whitish coloured markings on the surface that weren't there before. So that was taken by the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. The actual impacts took place on December 24th last year. So it's taken this time to research and publish the findings that they've found with the MRO data. So that's quite an interesting example of our dynamic solar system, shall we say.
Absolutely. Yeah, wasn't the impact detected by the InSight lander?
It was detected by the InSight lander, but obviously this photo was taken by the
MRO,
orbiter.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was found in the data from InSight from last year. So.
Yeah, the InSight lander has been on Mars for how long? Quite a while now.
Yeah, it's a few years now.
A couple
of years at least. I'm just going to show this one.
Yeah.
That's how far away the impact was. Showing where InSight is in relation to where the impact was.
InSight's. Sorry, Daz.
No, I was just going to say, I take it that's Mons Olympus just on the.
Yeah, that's the Olympus Mons there. Yeah. With three other volcanoes near.
The InSight lander's been on Mars for quite a while. It's equipped with some very sensitive size monitors, and its mission is to investigate the interior of Mars. It's discovered many Mars quakes, which I think the sheer number of them nobody was really expecting, and it's enabled us to find out a bit more about Mars. There we are. Look.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And there's the actual image.
Yeah.
Before and after.
Before and after. Blimey, that made a bit of a splash, didn't it?
Yeah, because you can see the ejector went quite some way as well, didn't it?
Yeah, quite a way. Yeah.
Well, I say better on Mars than Earth.
Good point.
Because as I was saying, they took the data and they put it through some jiggery pokery stuff, being Halloween, and they did sonification on this. And if you go on, I think it's the NASA site, you can actually listen to the actual impact.
Oh, really? I haven't heard that.
And the reverberation that goes. It's very, very weird. There's been a couple of things on in the news just recently with sonification of different things, and one of them was it was something to do with the solar winds taken by they're three little CubeSat satellites that are forming, and they're monitoring the solar winds, and it sounded like somebody pouring gravel onto a tin roof. And as the different waves come in, and because it's done over a long period of time, you can hear the different flares come through, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really is weird. It's really weird sounding. Like I said, it sounds like somebody pouring gravel on a tin roof.
Well, they are doing more with sonification.
Yeah.
There was another one this week that I will probably report on next week, because I haven't quite gathered all the data together yet. One of the black hole mergers detected by the LIGO and Virgo gravitational wave observatories has turned out to be an incredibly rare event as far as black hole mergers goes. It's particularly weird. And they reckon that this type of black hole merger only happens about once every million black hole mergers. So they're extremely lucky to detect it. But I'll report on that next week, as we are.
Okay, just a couple of other things. Some of you might know, might have heard about Edward Stone. He's actually retired as the project scientist for the Voyager missions. Most of you will probably have heard his voice over the last a few decades, if you like, talking about the Voyager missions. I think Lou might have one or two things to say about Ed as he's retired.
Ed was a great leader for Voyager. He was a great leader for JPL. He kept the mission going during a number of difficult problems with the spacecraft, and also helped the various instrument teams kind of negotiate who's got to see what when, and he did that in an admirable way. He was just a real treasure for space exploration.
Yeah, and of course, the one picture I haven't got, of course, is the famous picture of the pale blue dot. Which,
hang about, Michael, stop sharing your screen. Stop sharing your screen.
Okay.
I've got that all lined up.
Okay, just carry on.
I remember back in the 70s, especially in British media, Ed Stone was the voice of Voyager.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. There we are.
You go.
Yeah, there you go.
The pale blue dot. That is Earth.
That is us.
In a sunbeam.
And that is home.
Us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic image. Fantastic.
It is a fantastic image.
Along with the... Sorry.
Well, we'd like to wish Mr. Stone a very happy retirement, and to say thank you for all of his enthusiasm and skill in telling the world about Voyager.
Yeah.
And so well done, Mr. Stone, and thank you, and happy retirement, and a long and happy retirement.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Well, with that, I think that just about brings us to the end. I said I will talk next week about the space benefits theme that we started last week, but we keep running out of time. There's so much to cover. But don't fear. We will get around to showing you more of this theme later. Don't forget the competition ends on Saturday. And also, of course, keep sending your gallery entries in, which we love. Also, do join our Facebook group. You'll find us on Facebook by just simply searching for Space Oddities. We would like to give another big thanks to our sponsor, Rother Valley Optics. Thank you very much, guys. And with that, we will say goodbye until next week. We will be here
thank
again.
you, Brian. And thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
And of course, I was about to say thank you, Brian, for being our guest. Lovely to see you again. Yeah. Happy Halloween, and the very best of luck with the astronomy yearbook.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Great. Well, we'll be back next week at the same time, viewers. Thank you so much for joining us, and do spread the word. And of course, your likes and subscribes are exceptionally valuable to us. So if you would like to subscribe, we'd be more than happy about that, and give us a like at least. if you like what you've seen. And we will hope you have a good week. And we will see you at the same time next week on Space Oddities. So Daz is about to hit the big red button.
Big red button. Bye for now, and everybody
goodbye.
hit those likes.
Yeah,
bye.
hit those
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Happy Halloween.
Bye bye.
Jobs are good.
Jobs are good. That's a wrap.